Testing, testing. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Just trying to make sure it's good on my end, Akim. Shalom, shalom. All right, we're good on my end. Shalom, shalom. Shabbat, shalom. I'm going to start by giving infinite honors and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harachakwadash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and are worthy of their double honors. Peace and blessings to you, Akim, pushing out this truth across the four corners during these last 6 of time. All right, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. And as the title of the lesson is, the definition of merit, the elect will obtain a spiritual reward. The definition of merit, the elect will obtain a spiritual reward. And Lord willing, this message is edifying. This is just ultimately going into a conversation I had with a brother a couple weeks ago, going into the definition of merit. All right. I just wanted to get into this word, Lord willing. This message is edifying. All right. The definition of merit, the elect will obtain a spiritual reward. All right. So I have here this definition of merit from the online etymology. All right. And it reads, merit, spiritual credit for good works, spiritual reward. Spiritual credit for good works, spiritual reward. All right. So the elect ultimately will obtain a spiritual reward or will obtain merit, but ultimately it's done by our good works, by laboring for Yahweh Shem Yahushai towards the brethren, all right, towards your fellow neighbors, which are ultimately Israelites, which is likened on to Yahushai, as it is written. How can you say you love Yahweh Shem Yahushai, whom you have not seen, but you do not love your brother whom you have seen, right? Because ultimately the brotherhood, all right, is synonymous with Yahushai, all right? So ultimately the elect will obtain a spiritual reward, okay? So it says spiritual credit for good works, and I want to just touch on that. I want to just touch on that in the book of Titus. This is the book of Titus, chapter 2, and I'm going to start at 6. And it says, Titus 2 and 6, young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded. Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded. That's right. And that's not talking about literal drink. It's going into philosophies, doctrines, dogmas, ideologies on the planet Earth. In Revelation, the 14th chapter, the elect, the 144,000, are likened on to virgins that are not defiled with women. All right. And that woman, all right, that strange woman could be likened on to different doctrines. All right. Different wines. Okay. Dogmas, ideologies, customs, holidays, false idols. All right. Things throughout the earth that have no breath and ultimately that have no value. Okay. That are dishonorable, but likened on to merit, which goes into excellency, spiritual reward, spiritual credit for good works. Right. Let's go into some more real quick. It says wages, pay, reward. Ooh, thanks, merit, moral worth, that which assures divine pity, that which assures divine pity. And ultimately the elect obtain merit through their labors, right? The elect obtain that divine pity through their labors, because the more righteousness you show towards Yahweh Shem Yahushai, towards his name, towards his men, charity, alms, joint communication, agape, brotherly love, all right, goodwill, benevolence, joint participation, all those things assure our divine pity. Those are part of our labors, right? So Lord willing, I'm of that number. The elect ultimately they obtain merit through their labors, right? And we're going to get that. It says a merit, service, kindness, benefit, favor, worth, value, importance. You see? So through our acts towards Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, our worth goes up, our value goes up in the sight of the Lord. The more we perfect ourselves in righteousness, the scriptures tell you. Let me see if I can get it real quick. Let me see if I can remember. Let's see. Bet with me, Akim. I think it's in Sirach 19. Khan, call Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Sirach 19:5. It says, whoso taketh pleasure in wickedness shall be condemned, but he that resisted pleasures crowneth his life. Right? Why? Because you're resisting that temptation to sin. Scriptures tell you that he that's suffering in the flesh cease from sin, and labor goes into suffering. We're going to get that word labor. Labor goes into suffering and pain. All right. But there's an old saying that says what? No pain, no gain. All right. So we're suffering just as Yahushua did in order to take part in the glory, just as Yahushua did. Right. But like it went into in merit, it says a merit, service, kindness, worth, value, importance. But from the beginning, it says spiritual credit for good works, spiritual reward, right? So that's what we're laboring towards, all right? That spiritual reward. So let's go back to Titus chapter 2, verse 7, and it reads, in all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works, in doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity. You see, in doctrine. That's why I went into be sober-minded, have sound doctrine. So with that sound doctrine comes uncorruptness, gravity, which goes into balance, right? Sincerity. All those things come from the scriptures. Through the scriptures, we obtain a balance. Our minds are stable. We're at peace. We have sanity, right? And without the scriptures, all right, without that that labor towards that for that merit, you have the insanity, you have the dishonor, the evil, the wickedness. All right. So there's vessels out there that are likened onto dishonor, so is those likened onto honor. But those that are likened onto honor, Salakia got tongue tied. Those that are likened onto honor, they're ultimately going to obtain that spiritual reward. Those that are likened onto dishonor, they're going to get that dishonorable reward, which is those nuclear missiles, that thermonuclear heat. So it says, verse 8, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you, right? And that's 2/3 of our people. They're of the contrary part. Esau, Edom, these are the heathen nations, all right, on down to the least of them. They're of the contrary part. So that means that nearly this entire society is against the righteous. So that means that ultimately what we're laboring for, it comes from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. It's not going to come from man. We're not going to actually be able to see it in our bank account, see it on our paychecks. But guess what? It's coming. You have to believe in 2024, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. All right. So let's go on from there. Let's go to, because we're going to get that word labor. So let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9. And we're going to get that word labor. And I'm going to start at 14. And it says, Wisdom of Solomon 9:14, for the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices but uncertain. For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthy tabernacle weighed down the mind that museth upon many things. That's right. And that's likened onto the flesh. All right. We labor in the society while catching hell, while seeking righteousness, all right, while being tried, while being brought through that fiery trial, all for righteousness' sake, all to not be counted with the wicked. All right. The Lord puts us in sleep, give us visions, all right, programs us the night before, and then we wake up and we follow suit with that. All right. Everyone does the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, whether you're a vessel to honor or whether you're a vessel to dishonor. But the elect, we're gonna obtain, Lord willing, I'm of that number. We're gonna obtain that merit or that spiritual credit through our labors, all right, through that suffering, all right, and we're gonna get that. So it says, verse 16, and hardly do we guess aright at things that are upon earth, and with labor do we find the things that are before us, but the things that are in heaven, who has searched out? Right. Only Yahweh Shem Yahushai has searched out the things in heaven. We're laboring to find the things here on earth and to stay sane and to stay built up on our most holy faith in 2024, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. All right. From the apostles on down to the least of us, this foundation has been laid out. All right. The milk, the meat, the physical representations of how we should be as men, as images of Yahweh on the planet earth, that's been laid out for us. But with great labor, all right, have we found these things with diligence, all right, with sincerity, with gravity. Verse 17, it says, in thy counsel, who had known, except thou give wisdom and send thy Holy Spirit from above. You see? And ultimately, that Holy Spirit comes in the names of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai by Shem HaRachakwadash. That's right. And it says, and thy counsel, who had known, except thou give wisdom. So the Lord has given wisdom to the apostles on down to the least of us to measure these times and ultimately to know what we're laboring for. All right, now let's get that word labor, because it said, with labor do we find these things. So let's get the word labor. All right. This is the word labor from the online etymology. It says labor. It says labor, a task, a project. It says later exertion of the body, you see, and we exert our bodies to prophesy. All right. Romans 12 says, present your body as a living sacrifice. So we exert our body, all right, as a living sacrifice, testimony of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right. But it comes with great labor. All right. It comes with working out your salvation with fear and trembling, studying to show thyself approved, a pattern of good works. All right. Back in Titus 2:7, it takes that repetitive pattern of good works, man, that repetitive labor, that repetitive toiling, all right, patience and faith of the saints. Titus 2:7, it says, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works, in doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, a pattern of good works, consistency. The Lord is looking for that. And the Lord is looking for you to devote it to his church, his body, his men, because that's Yahweh Shai. All right. How can you say you love Yahweh Shai when you have not seen him, but your brothers who you talk to daily, you see daily, all right, you've seen them. So guess what? Show forth your labor towards them, towards the Lord's name, by studying, being diligent, all right, and also pattern yourself after good men, right? The apostles on down to least of us, Lord, well, I'm of that number. So it goes into labor, all right. It says exertion of the body. And notice, like in those different races, you'll have these different runners, and at the end of that race, they'll have those runners, they'll throw their body into the finish line, right? They'll throw that body into the finish line, just giving it all they have. So that's likened on to us in our labors. You have to give it all you have, all right, but you can never go far enough for the Lord. So it says difficulty, hardship. So okay, labor is hardship, work is not easy, right? It says toil, work, exertion, task, tribulation, suffering, toil, exertion, hardship, pain, fatigue, a work, a product of labor. And we're going to be those products of labor. But guess what? We're going to be made into the image of Yahushua. After all this labor we've done, it's going to show forth something glorious. We're that golden vessel of honor, man, that the Lord has made us to be. And the Lord is not going to forget our labors, right? The Lord said he would be unrighteous if he forgot our labors. So let's go to the book of Hebrews, chapter 6, verse 10. For our power is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor, you see, and labor of love. So the elect obtain that merit, that spiritual credit, spiritual reward, that value, that worth through our labors. Our labors, when you go out and do something good, when you do a video, a lesson, when you pray, you meditate, you fast, you suffer, all right? Like labor's going into suffering, all right? When you go through it, a situation, you may have something with a brother that y'all going through together as brothers, all right? You may have relationships to work out, kinks to work out, the fine print, all right? Leave no stone unturned, all right? You have to labor, but ultimately through that labor, you're being made and likened unto the image of Yahushua. You're being perfected, you're being brought through it, you're being tried, and you're building experience, you're building worth, you're building excellence, you're building value with Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, because the Lord is saying, man, this vessel of honor, look at what it's been through. I know it's indestructible, I know it's tried. That's got to be likened unto us. So it says, for our power is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have showed towards his name, and that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister. And it says, ye have ministered to the saints and do minister. That means consistently, repetitive, a pattern of good works. A pattern is replica. Okay, this report adds up. Okay, ching, 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 man of the Lord. That's all of us. We have to have that in us. And the Lord is looking up from the heavens like, okay, what's the next obstacle? Pass, check mark, check mark. And we're coming up to the times to where all these things will be made manifest. So it's glorious, it's Yapa, beautiful times we're living in, because the works of evil are being made manifest and the works of righteous are being made manifest through the hopeful elect. And the Lord is not going to forget it. It says, for our power is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have showed towards his name, and that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister. And that love goes into keeping the commandments, rehearsing the righteous acts. You go into the word rehearse, all right? And it goes into recount, to tell again, all right? So we're telling you so-called Native Americans, Latinos, and Negroes again the name of the Lord, again the ways of righteousness, all right? Again your nationality, right? And through that labor, we're gaining merit with Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, right? So let's go from there. And we're going to get some synonyms and some antonyms of that word merit. But let's go from here to, let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians. I believe it's the 9th chapter. Let's see. Bear with me. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24. It says, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain. You see, in a race, they which run, they run all. Everybody's running some race out here. What do they say? A rat race. You got people that are running a race of the American system. You have people that are running the race of the stock market. You have people that are running the race of the political scene, the government, the military, all right, educational scene, whatever it may be, the hip hop industry, whatever that lane may be that you're running it in. You're running it for some type of achievement, some type of crown, some type of merit, all right? But like that word merit goes into spiritual reward, spiritual credit. Notice it says spiritual. The elect ultimately will obtain those merits through their labors in righteousness, though. All right, just like you have those that are going to obtain a reward through ultimately their wicked labors, which is that ultimate nuclear destruction. All right, that thermonuclear heat, that lake of fire. It says, verse 25, and every man that strive for the mastery is temperate, meaning self-restraint in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. That's why I went into in that Wisdom of Solomon 9. It says, hardly do we guess it right. The corruptible body press it down on the soul. So what we're laboring for, it oversees, it overrides it. The word I'm looking for, it goes past the flesh. It conquers the flesh, the reward that we're looking for. So we're constantly chasing it but in righteousness. All right. Like it says, but we in incorruptible. That goes into heavenly. We looking for the heavenly reward. It says, verse 26, I therefore so run not as uncertainly, so fight I not as one that beateth the air. That's right. You don't want to be laboring for nothing, right? Like the multitude that are going to perish in vain, they're just laboring for what they can see. Visual creatures, right? They're laboring for something that they only can see here in America. And our conversation is different because we're laboring for something that we can't see here, we can't touch. So if you got visual creatures, they're just looking for the right here, the right now. That's like to a beast, an animal, man. All right, an animal looks for the right here, the right now. I just want to. A dog will go to a wooden pole and start humping it, man. Just looking for the right here, the right now. That's the mindset of these Americans out here. But the elect, we have self-restraint. We're temperate. We're looking for something that far exceeds this flesh. All right. The faith and the patience of the saints. It says, verse 27, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. That's right. Going into that order, right? You have to keep under your body that subjection, under that sound doctrine, or else you'll be a castaway out here, man. All right. The society will take you by storm and you'll be out of the truth. And the Lord doesn't want that for his men. The Lord wants us to be tried and refined. That's why ultimately, if you're the hopeful elect, it's a win-win situation. Absolutely. I'm going to read this in the NLT. 1 Corinthians 9. Where was I? Baba Kushab, bear with me. 1 Corinthians 9 and 24 through 27 in the NLT, it says, don't you realize that in a race everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize? So run to win. All athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away. But we do it for an eternal prize, that merit, that spiritual reward, that spiritual credit, that value, that worth, not with your boss, not with your manager at Burger King. All right. That's no slight to any brothers that may work in the fast food industry, but I'm just saying, not anything carnal, man. That's for Yahweh Shem Yahushai. We're looking for worth without power, man. All right. Not somebody we can see here in the flesh. We're talking about the ancient of days, man. The Lord is controlling the times. All right. The waves of the sea, the dials of the sun, all those things. All right. But the wisdom was given on to his men, the hopeful elect. Verse 26 in the NLT, 1 Corinthians 9 and 26. So I run with purpose in every step. I am not just shadow boxing. I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. That's right. So it says, I discipline my body like an athlete. That takes labor. You have to discipline your mind spiritually, but it's a formula to it. And that formula has been given to us from the apostles on down. All right. Who are physical representations teaching us how to be men, how to be healthy, not only physically, but mentally. All right. How to strive, how to labor, how to have longevity, how to have gravity, how to have a balance in this thing. You have men on the planet Earth that are examples of Yahushai in this corruptible body, in this flesh. All right. Lord willing, I'm of that number. So it says, I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. So you can't go preaching to others. You running this race yourself. You don't want to get disqualified. Remember that you have a race to run. All right. You have to stay temperate. You have to stay mindful. You have to labor continuously. All right. But at least the hopeful elect, we know what we're laboring for. The rest of this world, they're in total oblivion, man. And that's a sad state to be in 2024, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. All right. So let's go from here. Bear with me. Let's go to 2 Timothy 2. And let's go to the KJV first. Bear with me, Akim. This is 2 Timothy 2 and 20 Start at 20. All right. And it reads 2 Timothy 2:20. But in a great house, there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor. So the elect ultimately, we're laboring to honor, all right? But you have people that are in a society, the multitude, they're laboring to that dishonor, that great shame. And it's going to take place in these times, man. We're one major event away from these things happening in 2024, the year of Jacob's trouble, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. All right. So I looked up this word merit, right? Because the elect obtain merit through their labors. And like the title of the lesson, the elect will obtain a spiritual reward or merit. So you have some synonyms of merit here. You have benefit, dignity, excellence, integrity, quality, stature, talent, value, virtue, worthiness. Strong matches, it says arret, asset, caliber, credit, desert, excellency, goodness, honor, perfection, worth. You see, but it says honor. All right. And back in 2 Timothy 2, it says, but in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth. And those vessels of gold and of silver are you so-called Native Americans, Latinos, and Negroes, which are the Israelites, the chosen people, or Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, specifically the elect of the house of Israel. All right. We're those chosen vessels, those honorable vessels. All right. Obtaining merit through their labors, obtaining that worth, that value, that spiritual reward. All right. Through our labors, through our works. All right. It says, and some to honor and some to dishonor. All right. And these heathen nations, starting with Esau, Edom, is that dishonorable vessel. He's ruling the earth in dishonor. All right. And speaking of that, you got the antonyms of merit, and it goes into that. It says disadvantage, dishonor. So the opposite of merit is dishonor, right? Or like it says, disrespect. Strong opposites: disrespect, evil, ill repute, wickedness, worthlessness. You see, so the opposite of merit is worthlessness or dishonor. And we labor, Lord willing, I'm of that number. We labor for worth, not worthlessness. We're laboring for something. All right. Not as one that beateth the air, man. All right. We're laboring for that spiritual reward. All right. So Lord willing, this message was edifying. I'm going to give infinite honors and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Harachak Wadash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles, and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and are worthy of their double honors. Peace and blessings to you, Akim, pushing out this truth across the four corners during these last seconds of time. Kwam Yasha'Allah. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Till next time. Shalom.